Okay, let's begin, people. Now, before we start, what I want you to understand is, what I want everyone to understand when you're doing reading part B specifically. Now, many people do say that like it is way too difficult. I'm trying my level best, but I'm not able to get the score what I need. Now, maximum students I've seen out of 6, they score 3, they score 4. The reason for that is there are two things which you need to keep in your mind when you do reading part B. That is something which I wish to discuss in today's lesson. First thing is you need to make sure that you understand what is a keyword in a particular sentence. Second thing, you need to know something called as modal verbs. Wait a minute. Something called as modal verbs or something called as action, modal or action verbs. You should know this very well because this modal verbs or action verbs can completely change the meaning of the sentence. So this you should be very careful when you're doing your lesson. Okay, when you're doing your reading task. Now, keywords are nothing but it is the noun plus the verb of the question. Okay, the noun plus noun is any name, name of the place, name of the person, name of the thing. It can be abstract or it can be something which you can physically touch. Noun, understand this is any name. Okay, now any name, noun and verb of the question becomes your keyword. Okay, please understand this. Now, synonyms do work in OET, but not in a greater scale. It doesn't work, but some questions do use synonyms, like you understand a particular verb in the question, and but later when you come to the text you will realize that you see a particular word in a different form. That is synonym. For example, inappropriate, you may find a word synonym for this. You may find a word vain, which is weaker, which is not correct. For accuracy, you can see a word such as a synonym such as precision, which means precise, which means accurate. So you need to make sure these things do work in your OET reading as well, but you will have to make sure you understand these words, the meaning of these words which is given to you in the question. This is something you should be doing. Then next, please understand when you're practicing, see, like on an average, I've seen the candidates who join OET or the candidates who actually go for training, they take approximate 2 months, right? So when you are doing OET reading, you may be approximately doing 20 to 30 tests in OET reading or more than that. In those 30 tests, you may come across various vocabularies, various vocabs. Okay, so what you have to do is, you whenever you find a word which you are unaware of, which you feel like I don't know the meaning of the sentence, write that word. First thing is write that word in a book. Maintain a different book for vocabs, because see, understand, I don't want you to improve your vocabularies to a higher level and just use that and flaunt those vocabularies in your speaking. I don't want you to do that. But what I want you to do is a simple technique. Write that word in a book. First step. Second step, find the meaning. Find the meaning of the sentence. What is the meaning of the sentence? Then, once you find the meaning of the sentence, try to formulate 3 to 4 sentences using that word. Because you understand, many people do a wrong technique. They just write vocabularies and they try to learn it. They try to by heart it. This will not be helpful for you. If you are going for a reading part B, if you're going for a reading comprehensions, sometimes the questions will be completely based on a vocabulary. Okay, so you unless you understand the meaning of the vocabulary, it would be difficult. So the development, what we need, if you really want to improve your vocabularies and you really want to go ahead with that, you need to make sure various vocabularies you learn. Whichever you find in OET, you need to make sure you underline that, formulate that sentence. That will definitely help you. Okay, now this is the first step which you would be doing in learning vocabularies. Then there are something called as modal verbs, which is like which decides the certainty of a particular statement. Certainty of a particular statement. Okay, so I'll cover it in my presentation. So if words such as must, words such as may, or the be form of the verb, or should, these words can completely change the meaning of the sentence. So you should be very careful with this. You should understand this words, why it is important, and what you have to do with the when you see such words. You should be extra cautious. Okay, so these are the techniques which you can use. Now, one more thing when you're doing particular, now let's get back to OET reading B grade. When you're getting back to OET reading part B, understand this. When you're doing this, read the question first. Read the question first and then don't look into the options. See, both the ways it works. For some candidates, it works the other way. They read the question, they read the vocabulary, they understand the scenario very well. Even they understand the options very well. Then they go into the reading task and try to find which is the most closest option. Okay, now when you are doing this, you can try both the ways. The easiest way is read the question first. Now in questions also, there are two types of questions. One is a complete question, a complete question mark, like it is asking you a direct question. Other one is an incomplete sentence. So we'll go through both the forms. Incomplete sentence. And there is also one more question which asks you to find out, according to the context, what is the meaning of the particular word. Meaning of the particular word. So how you have to guess the meaning is, like sometimes there may be a word which you may not be aware of, you might have never heard of, you might have never read, you don't know what that vocabulary means. You can read the context and understand as per the context what can be the meaning. You can guess it. It's not that difficult. It's pretty easy. But your approach towards your examination should be really good. You should make sure that when you're preparing, you develop your comprehension abilities. It doesn't matter what kind of OET materials you practice. It doesn't matter which classes you have gone to. It doesn't matter who was your teacher. If your ability is good, see, your teacher can only guide you which is the technique, which is the trick, which is the easiest way to find answers. But reading development is something which is in your hand. How much time, like how many hours in a day you spend behind reading, how efficiently you use your time to read well and comprehend situations, comprehend articles, health articles. It can be anything. Even people, those who have access to medical journals, even you can do that. Even for those people, those who are reading medical journals, things will be pretty easy. Okay, so when you're reading the questions, the read first question. Now, second thing after question, read the text which is given to you. Understand what the text says. Once you understand the text very clear, whenever you come across any modal verbs, read that particular sentence clearly, read it again. And when you go ahead and read the entire text, then once you're very clear the context, what is given to you, the text, what is given to you, you're completely clear with it, then look at the options, then directly try to find. First thing is, once you read the question, you know a particular question has been asked. By reading the context, you imagine yourself what can be the right answer to this particular question. Then look at the options. It will be pretty easy for you. Now, the options which is given to you, there will be three options given to you. Now, the options which is given to you, in that options, one will be always the closest option. Okay, closest. Every time the answer is not going to be glaringly straightforward and it says this is the right answer. No, it will not be. Your job in reading part B is to find the closest option. Okay, now the first option, any option which can be a closest one. Second one would be nearly close. Nearly close. Now, why do I say nearly close? There may be some words, some sentences, or like one or two words which changes the meaning, which contradicts with the given text. And the third option will be not given. There will be nothing mentioned about it. This kind of things you're going to get. In some questions, you may even get two options directly. If you're lucky enough, two options directly not given, and the closest options is clearly available. And the closest option is your right option. Okay, now let's move on to the questions. Now let's move on to the presentation so that I can guide you what to be done with this. Here we go. Perfect. Now it's not begin shortly, it starts. Perfect. Now let's pay attention to this. Okay. Now, understand this, in OET, reading B and C together, you have 45 minutes. Now, you will have to make sure that you utilize this time quick for part B. Don't waste much of your time in part B. Directly move, like quickly finish it and then move on to part C. Utilize maximum time of part C because that is a complex one. Now, some people say that you can divide it into 15 minutes. Don't do that. 15 minutes for part B, then part C, first part 15 minutes, and then the second part 15 minutes. It's better you save maximum time for part C. So for over here, for each question, you should not spend more than 2 minutes. If you do before 2 minutes, like 1.5 minutes, you're able to solve it, nothing like it, you will save a lot of time. But approximate 2 minutes is the maximum limit you can take it in reading part B and C. In B, for each question, you can take approximate 2 minutes, no problem. So for 6 question, you would take approximate 12 minutes. Okay, not more than that. Now, total time allowed over here is 45 minutes for B and C. In part B, you can use 2 minutes for each question. You will be asked to solve 6 multiple choice questions with 3 options for each questions. Okay, now skimming and understanding the gist of the passage would be expected from you. You should be able to read it quick. Your reading comprehension speed and the way you read, the speed of your reading should be up to the mark, so that you're also able to understand the information what you're reading. Also, you're saving time. Your reading should be quick. Reading the text, reading the context should be fairly at a good speed. Okay, like fair enough, you should be able to read it quick. Within 1.5 minutes, you should be able to find out what is the correct answers. Okay, next. Now, what kind of paragraphs you get in reading part B? The first thing to note from this is that the type of passage you will read is a type of document you will find at work. It could be an email or an application which has come from another department, or an information brochure, or an email from your manager, a note from your college, or an instruction how to work a new hospital equipment. It can be a brochure, it can be a guidebook, it can be anything. So there'll be short text given to you. You have to read that text, understand that text appropriately, then choose the right option. The second thing to notice, you will read 6 different texts and answer 1 multiple questions for each one. Okay, now points to remember. Okay, I also want those who are joining in, if anyone else, any of your friends who's interested or who is preparing for OET, please share this video with them, share this live lessons. Even they can join in now, because still we have time to come into the real questions where we will be doing discussions. So share these posts, share this live video, so that others can also be benefited. Okay, I'm pretty sure you will be benefited, but make sure even your friends who are preparing for OET, even they are benefited. So please make sure you share this information or share this particular live video, so that they can also join in now. It would be helpful for us. It will be helpful to motivate me as well to come up with such lessons. If there are participants and you're enjoying these lessons, I'm pretty sure I'm making things simple for you. I'm trying to come on this platform and trying to go through each and every module question by question, and I'm trying to come up with challenging questions. Now in writing also this week, we're planning to come up with a letter which is way too lengthy. Now, when a letter comes way too lengthy, how to formulate it? This is a difficult task for students. So we're coming up those lessons which, like, these are the lessons which we take for our candidates who come and join us in our classes, but we are taking it for free so that everyone is benefited, so that even you understand how do we teach and what kind of effort we put for teaching. So I want you to share this live video with others as well, with your friends as well, so that they can also joining in. Now, points to remember when you're doing reading part B: read the context sentence which gives you information about the text type very clearly. Then read the question, but covering the option. Okay, you should always cover the option at the first part. Then read the text fairly rapidly and try to decide what you think is the answer to that question, as I've explained earlier. Okay, you should fairly rapidly, you should read the text and you should think what can be the direct answer to that question. Then look at the options. Things would be pretty easy for you. Lastly, read the answer options. Is one similar to the answer you decided yourself? Like what you have decided, is that the same one? Check back in the text to make sure the answer is correct. So it is pretty easy, pretty simple steps. So we'll be doing this live. Things would be easy for you and you will be able to understand it in a much better way. Now, important modal verbs which is required in your reading part B. Words such as can, could, may, might, should, shall, will, must, might. These are the words you should be careful of. When these kind of words come in your options, or these kind of words come in your context, or in your text which is given to you, it can change the meaning of the sentence. So you should be very careful with this. If you want, you can take a screenshot and keep it with you, so that in future when you see such kind of words in your OET reading B, things can be easy for you. You will be able to understand that there may be a situation where the meaning of the sentences can be changed, so that you can particularly read cautiously and then understand what can be the right answers. Models of certainty. The words such as might, must, may, these can completely change. Okay, so you should be very careful. So modal verbs, what does it do? Model verb tell us how sure speakers or the person who's written the text is sure about what they're saying. A person who is 100% sure uses the verb be form as in I'm sick, which is a confirmed statement. This particular person is sick. There is no other opinion for that, or there is no other option for that. If they're mostly sure, says about like closely sure, they may use the options such as must. So here they will use the model must as in I must be sick, because he's not so sure, but he has some kind of doubt within his statement. That's the reason he's using must be so, must be sick. Now, when speakers are about 50% sure, like half sure that I'm sick and half sure no, I may not be, so they may use the modal verbs such as may, might, or could. Like for example, I may be sick, I may be sick, or I could be sick. Not so sure. So these sentences, or sorry, these words which are modal verbs can change the certainty of a particular sentence. So you should be careful about. Okay. Now we will move on to the questions of part B and we will try to solve it live. Okay. So I want you to take part in this. So what I'll do is I'll just draw an image over here and I'll just cover the options so that you don't see the option first. First, we will read the sentence. Okay, I'll give you approximate 1 minute to do this. Now, in this, the sentence says the policy documents tells us that, which is an incomplete sentence. It is not a direct question. The policy documents tells us that. Now, the context is prescribing stop dates. Okay, prescribing stop dates. Now, I'll give you 1 minute. Not even 1 minute. I'll give you 30 seconds. Read it quick. Okay, and what you can do is you can type your answers in the comment box. Okay, then I'll remove this text box and then we'll discuss why the particular option is the correct option and why the other options are not correct. Okay, I'll also tell you why the other options are not correct. This way we will do 6 questions today. Okay, I'll try to make it more interactive. So I'll give you 1 minute now. I'll just mute myself for 1 minute, quickly go through, not even 1 minute, 30 seconds I'll give, quickly go through it and then we begin the discussion. Okay, now that's time up. Okay, now let's understand this. Now I believe you have read the context. It says prescribers. Prescribers is a person who prescribes a medication. It can be a doctor, it can be a pharmacist, should write a review date or a stop date on the electronic prescribing system. So we can say EPMA. Okay, let me take my marker. Now, this says on EPMA. EPMA means electronic prescribing system, or the medicine chart for each antimicrobial agent prescribed. On the EPA, there is a forced entry. Forced entry means which means, so these kind of words when you see, understand forced entry means it's a mandatory thing to do a forced entry unless it will not be able to, he or she will not be able to submit it. That is an important information to feed it. Sometimes when you fill the form online, you will see a star mark which says it's an important information without which you cannot submit your application. So forced entry for stop dates on oral antimicrobials, there is not a forced stop. So this is a contradiction. There is not a forced stop date on EPMA or IV antimicrobial treatment if the prescriber knows. Now if this changes the sentence, it connects it. If it doesn't mean that there is, you can completely disregard the stop date. If the prescriber knows how the course of IV should be, then the stop date can be filled in. If not known, again if, which changes the certainty of a sentence. If not known, then a review should be able to add to the additional information, example review after 48 hours. So it says if he doesn't know what the stop date is, he can still go ahead, but he will have to fill in the review, that he fill in the information, additional information stating that he can review after 48 hours. If the prescriber decides treatment needs to continue beyond the stop date, like beyond whatever stop date he has put, if he feels like beyond the stop date he wants to continue or the course length indicated, then it is their responsibility to amend the chart. Now this amend, people may feel like I don't know this word. Amend means changing. Many people may know this word, but people who doesn't know, it means to change or to apply any change in the particular chart. In critical care, it has been agreed that the routine use of review or stop dates on the chart is not always appropriate, which means it says in critical care and other care, every time it is not that relevant to put a review or a stop date, because we are not so sure how the patient is going to respond to the particular situation, how the patient would react to the drugs, and what will be the options. Now, these are the options. Now, look at it. The C option says prescribers must know in advance of prescribing what the stop date should be. Okay. Now, C option, nowhere it mentions, when you read this complete thing, you will realize nowhere it mentions that the prescriber should know in advance of prescribing what the stop date should be, because later part it says that even if you don't know, it's completely fine. You just review a particular review date. So according to me, this is not a right option. Second one, anyone using EPMA can disregard the request for a stop date. So I told you here it's a force entry for stop dates. Even if a person doesn't know what the stop date is, he can fill in the review, that review after 48 hours. At least some review has to be filled in. So that's why even this option is not correct for me. Stop dates aren't relevant in all circumstances. Yes, that's true, because the last line clearly says in critical care, it has been agreed that the routine use of review or stop dates on the chart is not always appropriate. That's why the correct option over here is A. Okay, so this is what the correct option is. If you have any doubt in terms of these questions, in terms of these kind of context or text, if you have any doubt, you can type it in the comment box, and I'll make sure that I'll answer it personally, and I'll make sure the answer has been given for that. Okay, now let's move on to the next one. Again, I'll take a image and I'll just cover the options. Oh, sorry. Okay, I'll take an options and I'll cover the options. Don't look at the options, don't cheat. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I'll give you 1 minute, go through the. Okay, I believe you might have read it. Now, guidelines, radiotherapy simulation planning appointment. Now, since you have read this time I'll give you an option. See the options. These are the options given to you. So make sure, if you feel, before I complete the reading of this entire text, if you feel you know what the answer is, you can definitely comment it over in the comment box, so that I get to know that how many of you are attending actively and you know what the answer is. Now, let's read the answer question very quick. The guidelines inform us that the personalized equipment for radiotherapy. Now, the guideline says radiotherapy simulation planning appointment. The initial appointment may also be referred to as the simulation appointment. Let me take my marker. Okay. Now, the initial appointment, that in the beginning, may also be referred to as simulation appointment. During this appointment, what happens in the initial appointment? During this appointment, you will discuss your patient's medical history. So in the first appointment, what you do is you discuss the patient's medical history and treatment options and agree on radiotherapy treatment plan. The first step is usually to take a CT scan of the area requiring treatment. Okay, so the first step is, after the consultation, the first step is usually to take a CT scan of the area requiring treatment. The patient will meet the radiation oncologist. So it is not mentioned when it is. On the radiation oncologist, the registrar and radiation therapist, a decision will be made, which means in future. It is not on the same day. Decision will be made regarding the best and most comfortable position for treatment, and this will be replicated. Replicated means again repeated daily for the duration of the treatment, depending on the area of the body to be treated. Personalized equipment such as face masks may be used to stabilize the patient's position. So personalized equipment may be used such as face mask to stabilize the patient's position. This equipment helps keep the people comfortable and still during the treatment and makes the treatment more accurate. Okay, this equipment helps keep the patient comfortable and still during the treatment and makes the treatment more accurate. Now there are three options given. First option says is advisable for all the patient. It is advisable for all patients. Second option says improves precision during radiation. Third option says needs to be tested at the first consultation. Okay, now anyone can type in like what can be the right answers in the group or in the comment box. If you write those who are attending actively, what do you think can be the right option over here? You can type it in the answer and we can see what can be the right option. Now I'll explain you why this particular option is right. Now the first one says is advisable for all the patients. Now when you read the statement, it then says it depends, like depending on the situation, depending on the area to be treated, depending on the personalized equipment such as face masks may be used to stabilize the patients. There are many things which are told over here. It doesn't say is like whether it is applied for all patients. It doesn't say that. It says about a patient who's coming for a particular simulation program. For them, a particular personalized equipment can be used and which will help us to give them more accurate treatment. But it doesn't say is it advisable for all patients. So hence this option is not given over here. Second option says improves precision during radiation. Okay, somewhat we can say that it is correct because the last line says this equipment helps us keep the patient comfortable and still during the treatments and makes the treatment more accurate. Now accurate and precision, it's a synonym for precision, which is accurate, so which can be a right option. We are not so sure. Let us see the third one also, then let's decide. Okay, now most of the people has typed in the right answer is C. Now please understand this, those who have commented C, I'll tell you why it is not the right answer. It says needs to be tested at the first consultation. I told you when we were reading this over here, during this appointment you will discuss your patient's medical history and treatment options and agree on a radiotherapy treatment plan. The first step is usually to take a CT scan of the area requiring treatment. This is just a first step, guys. This is just a first step. They are not going for testing. The patient will meet the radiation oncologist, the registrar and radiation therapist. A decision will be made. Then after that, the decision will be made regarding the best and comfortable position, the testing and all those things will be later. So the right option, see, this cannot be the right option because it needs to be tested in the first consultation. No, the first consultation is all about the discussion. So I can see Blossom Rose, who has commented the right option as B, which is the right option because it clearly says the guideline informed that personalized equipment. See, this is a keyword for you. Personalized equipment. It doesn't say that it. Now, if you read, now those who have commented as C, if you complete the sentence with this question, the guideline informs us that personalized equipment for radiotherapy needs to be tested at the first consultation. What sense it makes? It means this equipment needs to be tested at the first consultation. Where does it say? You should read your question carefully. You should mark your keywords carefully and then try to understand what can be the right option. You need to, whichever option you choose, you need to make sure that you complete that option. You read the question along with the right option and see that does that make sense? Does that make a complete sentence grammatically as well? Does that make any sense to choose that? And then also look with the context. First is look with the context, find the right option, read the question along with the right option, then you will understand whether that is correct or not. This can never be a right option at all. So the right option is B. Improves precision during the radiation because in the last line it is clearly given the equipment help the patient comfortable and still during the treatment and makes the treatment more accurate, which is over here. That's why the correct option is B. Okay, I believe this was not that difficult, but many people tried and many of them got the wrong answers. Two of them, like Natasha A and Blossom Roses, they got the right answer as B. Wonderful, guys, good attempt. Now let's move on to the third question and let's see how you do it. Okay, now let's move on to the next one. Okay, third one, an interesting one, and I would say a lengthy one as well. Okay, now don't cheat, don't look at the options. Let me cover that for you. Here we go. Okay. Now you have 30 to 40 seconds in your hand. Read the questions properly, read the question properly, read the context, understand what it is, then I will reveal the options to you. You can comment which can be the right option, then I'll have a discussion on that. I'll give you exactly 40 seconds. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Now I'll reveal the options also, then I'll read. Okay, now since you guys might have read it, these are the options. Meanwhile, you can think what can be the right option and then choose appropriately, and you can comment in the comment box. Now, the article says, see that the heading is always important. Please make sure you read the heading appropriately. Let me take my marker. Now, a recent article addressed the behavior of people who have a taste for the people rather than the future. A recent article addressed the behavior of people who have a taste for the present rather than the future, so who have more interest in what is going to be happened now. If the question, if you read, the group known as impatient patients. Now impatient patient means those who doesn't have patience, they want the results quick, they want things to be done quick, they don't want to wait for anyone. Impatient patients are more likely to continue with a course of prescribed medications if, now here there is a model verb, if this particular thing happens, which means like a particular benefit is given to a patient or a particular thing is given to a patient, this people can continue the course of prescribed medication. This is something you have to be very careful. Now let's go to the side. Now you have to make sure that then you go to the options. Now we know, okay, now our main target, the keyword over here is impatient patients. We know that there is something which if we do for the patient, then patients are likely to continue with a course of prescribed medication. So this you should be keep in your mind. You should keep impatient patients, a benefit which we give due to which the person will be able to continue the prescribed medications. Now, a recent article addresses the behavior of people who have a taste of the present rather than the future, which means a person who is more interested in what happens today and quickly rather than what will happen tomorrow if I take this particular medicine. It proposed that these so-called impatient patients, we got a keyword, impatient patients are likely to adhere to medication that require use over an extended period. Many people do a mistake, they don't focus or they don't read this word unlikely. So they say that, okay, fine, the impatient patients are likely to adhere medication that regular use over an extended period. They may read something wrong, so please make sure this word changes the meaning, which says unlikely. They're unsure, they may not adhere to the medications which is used over an extended period. The article proposes that an impatient genotype exists and that assessing these patients view of the future while stressing the immediate advantages, this is spelling mistake, advantages means benefits, immediate benefits of adherence may improve. Now it says in view of the future while stressing the immediate advantages of adherence may improve adherence rates more than emphasizing potentially distant complications. Rather than telling them what can be the complications, if you say what are the benefits, there are chances that they may adhere to the drug. That is what the sentence says. The author suggests that rather than attempting to change the character of these who are impatient, it may be wise to ascertain the patient's individual priorities, particularly as they can relate to immediate gains. For example, while advising an impatient patient with diabetes, stressing improvement in visual acuity, that is the accuracy in vision, rather than avoidance of retinopathy, rather than telling the patient that if you don't take medicines right now, you may suffer from retinopathy, rather than that, tell them this will improve your vision. That is more encouraging, right? Even for a normal individual like you and me, if we go to a doctor and the doctor says that, okay, fine, this will cause this complication. If you don't take this medicine, this may shoot up your liver. Rather than if the doctor says, take this medicine, it will improve your liver condition, it will be more encouraging for you. Or you don't have a better eyesight, you go to a doctor, doctor says that if you don't put this drop, you may lead to blindness forever. Rather than if he says, if you use this drug, this can improve your vision, that is more encouraging for us. We will definitely put those drops without failing. That is what telling in this statement, like rather than telling him the complication, tell them the benefit. Additionally, linking the cost of frequently changing prescription. Now, here many people get confused. It says additionally linking the cost of frequently changing prescription lenses when visual acuity fluctuates with glycemic levels may sometimes provide the patient with an immediate financial motivation. Please pay attention to this word. This is not a financial benefit. This is financial motivation for improving adherence. Now let's look at the options. Now let me see anyone who has commented the right answers. Okay. Now in this you can see the first option says the treatment can be completed over a reduced period of time. You can definitely comment your answers for question number 3. Please write the question number as well. Like for example 3C, so that I know that have you commented for the second question or have you commented for the third question. Those who are attending this lesson, they can comment your answers and then we can discuss what is the right option. This is a learning curve for you. So even if you're choosing wrong answers, it's completely fine. Okay, now you can see over here that treatment can be completed over a reduced period of time. That is the first option. The question says the group known as impatient patients are more likely to continue with a course of prescribed medications if. Now you have to be careful over here. The first option says the treatment can be completed over a reduced period of time. Nowhere it says that. If it is reduced, or it only says they are unlikely to adhere to medication that require use over an extended period. Nowhere it says that if it is in reduced period of time, they may adhere. It is an assumption. So hence, this is not the right option. Now, many people say C. Okay, that can be a right option. So I can see Jasmine, Rachel, I can see Christina. These people say C. Even I think Blossom Roses say C's, Jasmine. Oh, very lovely. Many of you say C's. It is possible to link that treatment with a financial advantage, which means a financial benefit. So as I explained earlier, this word many people get confused, and this is a trick which OET puts in all the reading. They change words, and many people fail to understand these words. Motivation doesn't link with advantage, it doesn't link with benefits. So this is not a right option. If what we are doing over here in the entire text, what we can understand from the entire text is, if we explain the short-term benefits to them, lovely people, those who have done this, those who have commented C, all of you, lovely attempt. The correct answer is C. Now let's move on to the fourth one. I believe everyone is enjoying this and I believe this will be productive as well. So I'll come with more lessons as such, which will give you more motivation to learn, and something will add some fun activity to learn as well, so that you can learn in a better way. So I'll cover the option again. This is the question. The memo reminds nursing staff to avoid. Here you should keep in your mind, this memo reminds something. To avoid. Avoid is our major keyword over here. Reminds and avoid. Something which a nursing staff has to avoid. Now, read this option carefully, this context carefully, and then see what can be the option, the right option for this. Something which reminds the nursing staff to avoid. I'll give you 30 seconds. Quickly go through it. Okay, perfect. Now let's go back and understand this. Okay, now I'll remove the blank. This is the options given to you. I'll read the context, I'll explain it to you. Meanwhile, if you feel which is the right option, then you can choose it. Now, the The heading of the context is checking the position of a nasogastric tube. So this context, this memo is all about checking the position of a nasogastric tube. Now, anyone who wants to comment the answers, you can continue to do that. Ansi says B. Okay, I'll come to it. Now, the first one says it is essential to confirm the position of the tube in the stomach by one of the following. By one of the following. So there are two methods given. First one says testing pH of aspirate gastric placement is indicated by pH of less than 4. So normal in a normal patient, the pH level is less than 4 when we aspirate through a nasogastric tube, but may increase the level to 4 to 6 if the patient is receiving acid inhibiting drug. So if the patient is taking any kind of acid inhibiting drug, then the pH can be in between 4 to 6. It can be above 5.5. So blue litmus paper is insufficiently, so this is a word which is more important, is insufficiently sensitive to adequately distinguish between levels of acidity of aspirate. So which says the first thing in the first context what we see is like there is particular one thing which is not adequately sufficient for, or it is not sufficient enough to distinguish between levels of acidity of aspirate. The second is X-rays. Now it says X-rays will only confirm the position at the time the X-ray is carried out. The tube may have moved by the time the patient has returned to the ward, because normally, see, it even happens in your hospital setup as well. You send the patient for an X-ray, he takes an X-ray and comes back to the department. If there is no portable X-rays available, then there are chances that the tube is moved from its position. Now, in the absence of positive aspirate test where pH readings are more than 5.5, or in a patient who is unconscious or on a ventilator, an X-ray must be obtained to confirm the initial position of the nasogastric tube. So like for example, he came to the ward later, we saw that the readings are more than 5.5 and we felt like, okay, this is not appropriate, patient is unconscious or on a ventilator, we will have to again take an X-ray to confirm the initial position of the nasogastric tube. Now, the options over here says X-raying a patient unless pH reading exceeds 5.5, not given at all. Nowhere it says if it is less than 5.5, go ahead and do an X-ray. Okay. The use of a particular method of testing pH levels may be like we can avoid to use of a particular method of testing pH levels. I'm not so sure. We'll have to see that. Can we rely on only pH test or can we rely only on X-rays? Is it possible? Which says sometimes when we are testing the pH, it clearly says litmus paper is insufficiently sensitive. Sometimes it says even if we do an X-ray, by the time he reaches the ward, the position may be changed. Again, you'll have to go for the X-ray to find the particular position of the particular thing. So that is not possible. So maybe this option is not the closest one. See, it also says with the closest one, it may say that, okay, fine, it can be done, but it may not be the right option. Reliance on pH testing in patients taking acid inhibitor. Oh, sorry, I'm wrong. Okay. Now, reliance means you're particularly depending on pH testing in patients taking acid inhibiting medicines. Now, patients who are taking acid inhibiting medicines, if you rely on this particular only one test, it is not the right option. So the correct option is the memo reminds nursing staff to avoid the use of a particular method of testing pH level. The right option over here is B. Relying on, or you are depending on pH testing in patient taking acid inhibiting medication, that is not the closest option. It says about both, a patient who are not taking, patient who are taking acid inhibiting medication. There are a lot of things, and it also clearly says the blue litmus paper is insufficiently sensitive to adequately distinguish between the levels of acidity of aspirate. So the right option over here is B. Maximum people have quoted B, and C told B. That is the right option. Natasha, Sandhya, Jasmine George, Bindu, I can see Rinsi, you said C, but I believe now you understand why it is B. It is not the right option because we cannot depend on pH testing itself. And Christina George, it says B. Rachel also says B. Wonderful, guys. Wonderful participation. Continue it. Now let's go for the other one. Now I'll cover the option again. Let's do it once again. We'll do 3 more questions and we are done with it. I believe this will be informative as well as you will learn much more things. Next time when you're doing part B, it will not be the same as you were doing till now. Things can be much easier for you. This extract inform as that. Now, it is talking about oxytocin. We know that. Read it quick. I'll give you 30 seconds. Then we begin. Perfect. Okay. Now I'll just go back to the previous question once. Please bear with me because Rinsi has asked me a question. See, I understand the question says nursing staff is to avoid. Now it says even X-ray is not so sure. X-ray is not a confirmed one because even if we send the patient to the X-ray department and later when he comes back, the position can be changed. Also, it says litmus is also not the appropriate one. So relying or depending on pH testing only in patients taking acid inhibiting medication is not even the closest one. Both the method which they have said it is not advocate, we cannot rely on one method. So that's the reason to avoid use of a particular method. One method of testing pH level should always be avoided. One or the other way. Either you do blue litmus, if that is not working adequately, go for the X-ray. So that is what it's saying. It should not depend on one mode of testing. That is what it says. Nursing staff to avoid the use of particular method means one method. You should never use one method always when the patient is taking an acid inhibiting. That is not in picture itself. If you want to confirm the acid aspirate, the aspirate what you take, is it acidic or not, then you need to make sure you don't depend on one method. pH testing is the one method. Second method is X-ray. We cannot depend on this alone because sometimes the litmus paper is insufficient. We cannot depend on this method because sometimes the position may be moved by the time the patient reaches your ward. That's the reason the right option is B. If I'm clear, please type I'm clear. You can type it in your options. You're clear. Otherwise, if you want, I can explain it again to you. Now, when we're coming back to this one, which is oxytocin, extract from guidelines oxytocin. For you, the options are open. If you want, meanwhile, you can comment and answer what can be the right option. Meanwhile, I'll read the stuff for you. The first point says oxytocin dosage and administration. Parenteral drug products should be inspected visually for particulate matter, which means some sedation, some sedimentation or something what you see, that is particulate matter, some kind of visual matter, you can see it in the vial. Visually for particulate matter and discoloration proper regarding administration. Okay, before the administration, prior to the administration, you should be focusing on that. Is there any particular matter? Whenever solution and container permit, dosage of oxytocin is determined by the uterine response. Now, the dose which we give to the patient is determined by the uterus response or by the patient's response. The dosage information below is based upon various regimens and indication in general use. So there is an information which they are given below, which is based upon various regimens and indication in general use. Okay, now people have already come up with the answers. Okay, great, you can continue. Others also can comment the answers. In the induction of stimulation of labor, intravenous infusion, which is a drip method, is only acceptable method of administration for the induction or stimulation of labor. Accurate control of the rate of infusion flow is essential. Okay, so accurate flow is always essential. Now the administration, the accepted method of administration for induction or simulation of labor, IV drip. IV drip is the only option which we can do, only preferable method which we can use to induce the simulation of labor. Accurate control of the rate of infusion flow is essential, which is very much required. An infusion pump or other such devices and frequent monitoring of strength of contractions and fetal heart rate are necessary for the safe administration of oxytocin. So these are the prerequisites which you need to check if it is safe to administer oxytocin. If the uterine contractions become too powerful, the infusion can be abruptly stopped. So you can stop at any time. Abruptly means immediately. When you see such words, if you don't know the meaning, write the meaning and formulate sentences using these words. Abruptly stopped, an oxytocic simulation of the uterine musculature soon will be wane. Wane means weaker or stopped or it will fade away. That is the meaning of wane. Okay. Now the options are now I'll start from the C option. The staff should inspect the oxytocin pump before use. Nowhere it says about the pump, I guess. You can just go through it and see if there is anywhere where it says about a pump. It says like a pump should be used, but it doesn't say that staff should inspect the oxytocin pump. So that's why this option is not the right option. Second one, the patient will go into labor as soon as the oxytocin is administered. No, it doesn't say that. This is not close to the option. It says if the uterine contractions become too powerful, then you can stop abruptly. So the duration, the things, they're not clarifying it. And in the second para, it also says that frequent monitoring is required to control the strength of contraction. So frequent monitoring is also something which is required, which means it may take a longer time. We can assume that things cannot be quick. So this option is also not the right option. The right option is A. So I can see many people, Rachel, Christina, Blossom, Jasmine, just Bindu, Sandhya, Natasha, wonderful attempt. Everyone has got the right answer. Hey, I think the accuracy level is improving, and you all, I'm loving it. Let's move on to the sixth one, which is the last discussion. Then I'll do a two test. That is two questions which you will solve it by yourself. Again, I'll cover the options, quickly go through it. I'll give you 30 seconds. Don't look at the options. This is one of the way to do it. You can also try your own method. Please make sure, guys, those who are attending, share this live video on your page or on your wall, so that even your friends can be benefited. They can also join in, or they can join later, which will be motivating for me as well as to come up with like more lively lessons, more challenging lessons, which will make your comprehension and learning experience better. Okay, so I'll give you 30 seconds now. Go. Okay, now let's continue. I'll just open the options for you. So guys, the question says the manual informs that the blood pressure monitor. So this is about an information. It speaks about a blood pressure monitor. So now let's see what happens over here. Electromagnetic compatibility. Okay. EMC, which is called as electromagnetic compatibility, how compatible it is with the electromagnetism. That is something what we are going to learn. Now, with the increased use of portable electronic devices, medical equipment may be susceptible. Susceptible means, what can be the word for susceptible? Anyone? Okay, it means any chances they are prone to or likely, susceptible. They are prone to or likely to electromagnetic interference. So it says with the increased use of portable electronic device, which can be mobile phone, which can be any device which we use, medical equipment may be prone to electromagnetic interference. This may result in incorrect operation of the medical device. Okay. This may be result in incorrect operation of the medical device and create a potential unsafe situation. In order to regulate the requirements for EMC with the aim of preventing unsafe product situations, the EN 6060112 standard defines the levels of immunity to levels of immunity. Here, immunity means the safer level. Okay, defines the safer level. Immunity, don't get confused. Here it means the safer level. The immunity to electromagnetic interferences as well as maximum levels of electromagnetic emissions for medical devices. So it says interference as well as the maximum. So this standard which they have mentioned, it defines the safer level to electromagnetic interference is what it should be, and the maximum level of electromagnetic emissions for medical devices, what it should be. It describes that. This medical device conforms to EN 60601. Which medical device? This blood pressure monitor for both. So it clearly says, guys, you should be careful. This device is our blood pressure. This device conforms to EN 6060112, that is, which is this one, for both immunity and emission, for both the safer levels and the emission levels. Nevertheless, care should be taken always. The care should be taken to use the monitor within 7 meters. It doesn't describe, nevertheless here says, it doesn't say that it needs to be maintained, but it's always better to have a precaution, better to have a safe distance. Care should be taken to avoid the use of monitor within 7 meters of cell phones or other devices generating strong electrical or electromagnetic fields. Now, let's see what can be the right answer over here. Now, many people have already commented. Many have said B. Only Natasha says C. Rest, most of the people says B. Now let's see whether the right answer is C or B. I'll start with C. Anyone else commenting in this? Okay, let me just have a check. Anyone else? Okay. Okay. Now the C option says should be considered safe to use in all hospital environments. Does it say that as hospital environments should be safe to use in all hospital environments? Never says, right? Even though the last, like this is especially for Natasha, who has chosen C, understand this, even though it says, nevertheless, care should be taken to avoid the use of monitor within 7 meters of cell phone or other devices generating strong electrical or electromagnetic waves. So at least 7 meters we should maintain. So this manual informs us that the blood pressure monitor should be considered to safe use in all hospital environments is not a right option. Is likely to interfere, the manual inform us the blood. Now many people do have a confusion. They really make a mistake. Okay, that is over here. Wait, I'll tell you. The option says is likely to interfere. Now, where is it? Wait, I'll just tell you this. Let me comment it. Some people have some more doubt. Okay. Now, over here it says with the increased use of portable electronic devices, medical equipment may be susceptible. Now, many people link this susceptible to likely. Okay, this happens. Many people link this word likely to susceptible, and they read medical equipment may be likely to electromagnetic interference. Okay, which is susceptible to electromagnetical interference, which medical equipment. But what it says over here, this sentence is the last word, they may connect the susceptible and medical equipment together, but they may forget to read the main option, the main question over here, blood pressure monitor. But here it says to electromagnetic interference, which is the one that is any portable electronic devices is likely to electromagnetic interference. But it says is likely to interfere with the operation of other medical equipment. Blood pressure cannot emit any electromagnetic waves and it can interfere with the medical equipment. That's why this is also not an correct option. The right option over here is B. Lovely people, those who have commented B, lovely, that is the right answer. B is the right option. Now I believe I've explained it well to Natasha. Natasha, if you have any doubt, you can comment in the comment box. I'll come back to the question. Now guys, the next two questions I'll not have any explanation. I want you to do it by your own and comment the right option. I'll give you 2 minutes, not more than that. Exactly 2 minutes, not more than that. Your time will start now. This is the option. Now here the options also, I'll keep it open. Read the question first. The notice is giving information about what. So you find it what it is and tell me what can be the right answer. You can comment in the comment box. Everyone, go ahead. I'll give you exactly 2 minutes. So now exactly 2 minutes is there. Please make sure, utilize this and quickly find the right answers. So this is like a test for you so that you get the right answers quick. So you can quickly comment on the right answer. 1 more minute. And then I'll say the right answer for this. Go ahead, go ahead. Okay, wonderful. So Ansi, Jess, Jasmine, Sabita, Bindu, Vaishali, Sandhya, Natasha, Ramyashri, wonderful. The right answer is C. Perfect. Let's move on to the other question. So those who have not attended yet, if you want to take a screenshot, you can take a screenshot of this question and keep it with you. And if you want to see why this answer is particularly that way, you can check at your end. The correct answer is C. Next one. That is the eighth one. Oh, I'll have two more. Okay, perfect. I'll have two more. Eighth one and ninth one. So what must all staff involved in the transfusion process do? Okay, C answer is correct. Now let's go for this one. What must all staff involved in the transfusion process do? Now over here you can see there are three options given. Let's not look at the options. Our target over here is the staff involvement in the transfusion process. What should they do? Now read the options carefully and don't read the options right now, read the text. Okay, then let's see what is the right answer. The administration of blood can have significant morbidity and mortality. Okay, some death rates and some kind of comorbidities. There are many things which can come when we use this. Now, following the introduction of the right patient, right blood safety policy, all staff involved in the transfusion process must be competency assessed. Their competency level should be checked. To ensure the safe administration of blood components of the intended patient, all staff must be aware of the responsibilities in line with professional standards. Okay, staff must ensure, keywords, ensure that if they take any part in the transfusion process, their competency means how competent, how eligible they are to do a particular process, what kind of knowledge do they possess in terms of transfusion process. They should be competent. Like for example, a trained nurse or a trained doctor should involve in the transfusion process. That is what the question asks you to do. Assessment is updated every 3 years. All staff are responsible for ensuring that they attended the mandatory training. Mandatory, required. There is no option for this. Everyone has to attend a mandatory training identified for the rules. Relevant training courses are clearly identified in Appendix 1 of the mandatory training matrix. What can be the right option? Attending a course to learn about the new procedure? It doesn't say that. Read a document that explains changes in policy? It is not at all. It says that there is a course which has to attend. The right option over here is A. Wonderful, guys. Those who have commented A, wonderful. Sabita, Christina, someone else also asked me, like, is it A? Yeah, this answer is A. The correct answer over here is Sandhya, Vaishali, Rinsi, Jis. Wonderful. The answer is A. The last question. Guys, this is the last question. If anyone wants to take a screenshot, you can take a screenshot. Then we move ahead to the last question. Perfect. This is the last one. Quickly go through it. I'll give you 2 minutes. The question says, according to the extract, answer for this one, guys. Rameshri, you wrote the answer B. That is wrong. The right answer is A. If you want, you can go through the video once this live lesson is over and you can check for it. The right answer is A. Ninth one, according to the extract, what is the outcome of reusing medical equipment meant to be used once? Now, according to the extract, what is the outcome? So the outcome of this reusing medical equipment meant to be used once. So what happens if a particular person uses a medical equipment which is labeled as used once? If they use it again, what happens? There are 3 options given. Don't look at the options. Read the sentence first, the text first. Read it properly, understand it, then choose the right option. I'll give you 2 minutes. It is very easy. 2 minutes. I'll just tell you what is the right answer after 2 minutes and I'll tell you where it is located so you can look for it later and it can be useful. Please guys, share this. I'm again repeating, share this to your wall so that others can also attend, others can also be benefited. Our aim is that maximum people are benefited because in this amid lockdown situation, many people are not able to learn. Many of their classes are not turning back to them for online classes. There are a lot of issues going. Many candidates are calling me for this. That's the reason I'm coming up with such lessons. Please make sure make use of it. Make sure your friends are also benefited. Okay, now. Okay, wonderful. Many people are saying C. Those who are saying C, good, but still, read it again. This is you're speaking with your knowledge. There is a higher incidence of cross-infection. You're speaking with your medical knowledge. I'm telling you, don't use your medical knowledge in this. Use your knowledge. Do not use your knowledge at all, I would say. Use the text, what is given. What does that text say? C is not the right answer, guys. Those who are typing C, read it again and then you think whether C can be the right answer. Cleaning and disinfection of endoscope should be undertaken by trained staff in dedicated room. Through cleaning with detergent remains the most important first step in the process. Automated washer disinfectors have become an essential part of the endoscopic unit. Machines must be reliable, effective, easy to use and should prevent atmospheric pollution, that is the dust, by the disinfectant if an irritating agent is used. Pros of disinfectant should not be used unless containment or exhaust ventilated facilities are provided. So you should not use on a large scale or a large level too much of disinfectants. You should not be used unless it is ventilated. Ventilator facilities are not there. It is the room can be ventilated. Unless that facilities are not there, don't do that. Whenever possible, single-use or autoclave accessories should be used. The risk of transfer of infection from inadequately decontaminated reusable items may be weighed against the cost. Okay, inadequately decontaminated reusable items can be considered, but the people who are saying the option A, the people who are taking option C, there is higher incidence of cross infection. Where does it say there is incidence of cross infection? Nowhere it says, but it says reusing accessories labeled for single use will transfer legal liability. That is the responsibility. Legal liability means responsibility. Legal responsibility for the safe performance of the product from the manufacturer to the user. Okay, which means the manufacturer will take no legal responsibility for safety, because it says over here transfer legal liability. Guys, focus. People who have typed answer C, focus. Don't use your medical knowledge. I'm pretty sure I made it pretty clear for you, and it was an attempt made by me to make sure that you all are benefited from this. Make sure you subscribe to our Facebook channel, which is www.facebook.com/British Academy Mumbai. Also, you subscribe to our YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/British Academy Mumbai. Now, tomorrow my plan is to come again live with a listening lesson. The same time, I'm trying to focus on part B, the discussions on part B, why a particular answer can be. It will be interesting, I would say. I will do 6 questions. If you people are interested, please make sure subscribe to this channel. Please make sure you follow, you like this page, share it on your wall so that everyone is benefited. And even I am motivated to do more lessons so that you gain benefit. See, the profit here is for you. You gain in maximum, you gain a lot of knowledge, you gain the techniques, you get a practice session, live practice session. I'm trying my level best. I'm not saying I'm the best. I'm just trying my level best to make it simple for you. Okay, this is just an attempt to make it simple for you. So make sure you join in whenever I come live and participate the same way. Thank you so much for joining in, guys. Have a beautiful day ahead. Bye, people.